You are listening to Basement Chronicles with Lisa Dublin, episode number 15. The launch of the speaking school, or how to start something and grow. Hey, you made it! Welcome to my basement. I'm Lisa Dublin, a health and life coach, and I help professional and executive women to live, lead, and speak with confidence. Because you know what? Developing your confidence and deepening your faith in God is the best formula for an amazing life. So, are you ready? Let's go. Hey, podcast listeners, how is everybody doing? I'm sitting here feeling very mellow and very emotional because I just came off the launch of the speaking school, which is now my virtual program for everyone who has graduated from my Speak with Confidence program. When I tell you today is a dream come true, more importantly, it has shown me the process of starting with a dream, starting something, and how to grow it organically, to grow it carefully, and to grow it in stages. And so, even while I tell you my story of how I started, I really do hope to not only inspire you, but to end by giving you some tips of how to simply start something today and to grow. Really, this all started because of COVID-19. During the pandemic, when we were all home, I recognized that I had the opportunity to grow something organically, something that I liked. And so I began to go live from my basement. You can see those initial, very grainy videos. They're still on YouTube on the Basement Chronicles channel, and the links are in the show notes. I began to go live. That's how it all started, wanting to, first of all, inspire and encourage myself to continue going through COVID, not knowing what it was all about, not knowing when it would end, being home, doing a full-time job from my basement, and also seeing my children through school because they themselves had been sent home and I had to oversee their schoolwork, etc. It was a very difficult time for everybody, and especially for me, being both mom and full-time worker from home with everything that was going on. And so I started Basement Chronicles from home, in my basement. You guys, when I look at these initial videos, I am amazed at my bravery and my just sense of not caring what anybody else thought. I just simply wanted to inspire people. So there I was in my basement, under a chipped staircase, which now in retrospect, I could have asked my husband to kind of varnish or paint over to make it look a little better, but I didn't. And I just simply went live. And I recorded some of the videos. I started there just recording videos and putting them out, the 3-minute videos that began, hey, do you have 3 minutes? And I'd talk about something inspirational and foundational to our personal development. That is where it all started, that I began to want to encourage people again. I got a very good response, and then I looked for the next thing to do. Fast forward a couple months and I realized, number one, COVID wasn't going anywhere. And secondly, I was still in my basement. And so I joined a certification program, a speaking certification program with Eric Thomas. I joined other courses that showed me how to launch an online course. I did all sorts of trainings to be able to launch a virtual business. And that's exactly what I did. I started the Speak with Confidence program in 2021, I think it was, and I've never looked back. Now, when I started that program, the first iteration of it, the first cohort, definitely was the test cohort. I think we can all agree. But it was already successful from the get-go because I was able to attract a couple professionals and executives to my program who brought their own energy, expertise, their own desires, their wants, their needs to be able to make the program better. So I took them through the 6 weeks of that program to learn certain things about speaking. I had already divvied up the program into 6 modules that I teach up to today, and which have served our students very, very well. The thing is, through every iteration of the Speak with Confidence cohort, I became more in tune with what my students needed. I began to realize that it wasn't just having the education. A lot of speaking is about practice, is about getting the relevant experience with the relevant feedback. And so I began to add certain things to the program. So, for example, one of the first features that I added that the first cohort did not have access to was the coaching. When I became a life coach, I recognized that I could also apply the life coaching skills to my speaking coaching. And you know what? It worked like a charm. It worked so well because many of my students benefited from that weekly meeting with me where we got to speak about their own private and individual issues with speaking. And these meetings, these coaching sessions have yielded as much results as have the group teachings that I do in the program. But it still wasn't enough. And I realized, hey, if I could actually get together these students in a group to continue to learn, continue to practice speaking, continue to provide learning for them about speaking opportunities, about the latest developments in the speaking world. If I could keep them excited about speaking a little longer, this program would be even more successful. So I began to plan for the speaking school. And like most things go, a lot of good things take time. So in the beginning, it was just simply an idea that I took out perhaps while I was sweeping or doing the dishes or cooking. I would just simply mull over it. What would that idea look like? What would my school, if I could launch it, what would it look like? And finally, with the last cohort, I made the promise publicly to set up a continuous learning environment. And that, my friends, is what I launched today. And that process of coming from starting a program in its initial stages from that first cohort in 2021 to launching the program now, the speaking school in 2024, that process has made me think about today's topic, which goes beyond the launch of the speaking school. And I'll tell you more about how to get into the program later. That process has made me realize that there is a journey that we go through when we start something and how to make it grow. The first thing is this: you cannot be afraid to step out. The longer you delay the stepping out, the initial process of starting something, is the longer you are going to delay the development process that will lead you to bigger and better things. I could not have gotten to the speaking school today if I had not launched the Speak with Confidence program many years ago. That process of thinking of what my students needed, of seeing every cohort go through the process, looking at what worked and what didn't, what was needed, how I could add to the program to provide more value, that process had to start by taking the first step. So I want to encourage you today, whatever your idea is, make a plan and start to work. Make a plan, however rudimentary, get the tools you need, the training you need, take a course, do a YouTube video, start something perhaps with just an initial offering. What happens is our minds, our creativity, it needs material for it to work upon and get better. If I had not seen the Speak with Confidence program in action, seen my students going through that process, I would not have known to add on the coaching. And then now to have a whole other activity for them to do once they have graduated from the program. So you have to start something no matter what other people say. And this perhaps is the second point. You're in this alone. No one told me to launch the Speak with Confidence program. No one told me to launch subsequent cohorts. Nobody was in this with me that intimately to help me along. It all came from what I felt, what I loved, from doing the work within myself to know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur out there. I wanted to have my own programs and to offer to the public something that was of value. And so no one needed to encourage me, to start me off, to tell me to take it further. In a sense, you have to be self-directed and you have to trust your gut. That is how I got here today. Just hearing my students who attended the launch, just hearing their comments today about what the program did for them, how the Speak with Confidence program either taught them or reminded them or strengthened certain skills in them that helped them to go out into their worlds as executives, as professionals, even as parents, as business people, in the media. Just seeing how these students benefited from the Speak with Confidence program really warmed my heart and made me realize that yes, I was onto something. I would not have known that and gotten that kind of feedback if I had not stepped out. What are you waiting for today? Are you waiting for people to tell you, hey, you are discovered? Very early in COVID, I remember one of the posters I used to put out all the time, perhaps because it was a way of encouraging myself. I would put out this meme that said, stop waiting on people to discover you. And I so understand that I am that person. I don't need anybody to discover me. I said in that poster, you be the person who spies you in the crowd. You be the person who calls you up and says, hey, you're doing something well, let's go. You be that person for yourself, your first agent, your first initiator, the first person who's your photographer who knows that you have something going. See where it leads you. I think my third point is this. Don't be afraid of people's laughter or silence. And by extension, don't be the person who kills somebody else's dreams with your own laughter or silence. Today, even while I was preparing for the launch of the speaking school, I saw that a student of mine on Facebook, he is launching out as an MC in his own space. And I was very encouraged because a long time ago, I taught him, and I also taught him some version of my speaking course when I was back on the island in St. Lucia. And now I see him starting off his career. He's married, he has his own career as a teacher, and now he's taking on this initial role as an MC. And I reached out to him so gladdened to say, hey, keep on going, and pointing him to certain resources that he could use to get further. And he was very happy for it. And that, I think, is one of the attitudes that I hold to for myself and for other people. If you are going to be a dreamer, don't be a dream killer for other people. It's so much easier for me to be happy for other people because I am first happy for myself. It's much easier as well to be happy for myself because I am not constantly negatively looking at other people's dreams, killing their dreams even in my mind and saying, oh, this person is not going to make it. No, I am forever hopeful. Even in the privacy of my mind, I am hopeful for other people. And I hope you take this point seriously because I am so much a believer in what you do comes back to you. It definitely goes. You will reap what you sow. Many people are scoffers of other people's dreams, and so they never get the courage to start their own because it is coming back to them. They are so ensconced in their own fear because they know how other people are thinking and they care too much about it because they themselves are like those people. Here's something else that has served me well in starting something and grow. And you know how I do in this podcast, that as much as I give the very practical examples and illustrations of my points, this podcast comes from somebody who's deeply in love with God. And so I want to say to you, if you are going after a dream, put God in it. Today at the end of the speaking school, a couple of us stayed back and I was telling them a bit about my journey because actually one person brought it up that she remembered when I said I was going to launch a speaking program and I did. And then I said I was going to go into coaching and I did. And then I said I was going to launch a podcast and I did. And here I am today with the speaking school. And so I had to say to them that a lot of my journey has been guided by the power of the Holy Spirit. That being in constant conversation and relationship with a powerful and creative God makes you yourself on earth more powerful and creative. I cannot get away from it and I won't even try because there's no need. If this is not your cup of tea, by all means, go ahead. But I need to tell you, it has worked wonders for me. I have been able to do way more than I thought I could and to go into spheres that I didn't even know existed because of being in relationship with the Holy Spirit and getting knowledge and getting a sense of what is possible from just being in relationship that way. Get into relationship with the God who made you. He is the original creator. He is the one who knows where you can fish, where you can find the thing to do that will impact the world and will also give you an income. I will not even try to get away from it, especially because this is my podcast, okay? So that point is also very important. And then here's the last point, and it ties in so many things. Ideas, I think, are hatched. What do I mean by that? Sometimes it pays to be in proximity with people who are like-minded and doing things. I look now and I hear my podcast and I see the things that I am producing, and I realize that I'm able to do those things also because I am in constant contact, perhaps via paid courses or via YouTube channels or even podcasts. I am in constant contact with similar people who are doing the things that I now have found the strength, the opportunity, and the method to do. My point is, stay in contact, stay in proximity with the people who are doing the things that you want to do. I hope I'm one of those people for you. Most probably, if you are listening to me, something about me attracts you, and there's a lot that you can learn. Come into one of my paid programs, either via life coaching or with the Speak with Confidence program, which then gives you access to a whole network of people and puts you in proximity with me and the other graduates of the program for an entire year after you are done with the 5 weeks of the Speak with Confidence program. You guys, there's nothing as beautiful as seeing an idea through. But I believe we really need to focus, and that is what I've tried to do in this episode of Basement Chronicles, the podcast. I have tried to just delineate the process of starting something and growing it to a point where it develops into something that you can be proud of, that many more people benefit from, and that also has potential to go further. It cannot start if you don't start. It cannot start if you don't take that first step to make something happen for yourselves. And I'm so happy. Many years ago, during COVID, I didn't sit on my haunches, but I got to work to start a program that today has birthed something else called the Speaking School. So I hope to see you in the Speak with Confidence program. Even if I don't, I want to encourage you to stay in proximity to me, because there's a lot that you can learn, a lot that I want to teach, and a lot that you can gain from being around this kind of possibility. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. Now, I know that you prioritize your growth and success. So if you feel stuck in any area of your life, why don't you consider life coaching? My signature program, How to Get Unstuck Total Transformation, has helped so many professional and executive women to free themselves of limiting beliefs and habits, learn to love and prioritize themselves, set firm boundaries and stick to them, be more confident, move up exponentially in their careers, and become the best versions of themselves. How badly do you want to get unstuck? How badly do you want to be the best version of you? If you desire more, take the first step right now. Go to my website, lisamdublin.com/coaching, and book a consultation with me. Let's talk about your coaching needs, because the life you want is totally possible.